All right, so part 3. One last word we're going to look at. That little session for us here was a little more quieter. We're going to go to a different thing now because, man, I got to not wear long sleeve shirts when I'm using this watch, I guess. This last word is shabach. To address in a loud tone, to shout, to commend, glory, and triumph. A psalm that goes with this one that has this word in it. One generation shall praise, or instead should shout, should commend glory, something loud and out there for the world. Your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts. So we shout his acts. We shout what he's doing. We need to, there's another song, I even started to look it up. We shout it out from every rooftop sing. The happy song is what it is, and it's kind of a fun, upbeat song. But shout it out from every rooftop. That's the idea of we're going to proclaim what God has done for us. We're going to let other people know what he has done for us. We're going to shout it out. So it doesn't necessarily mean just shouting out a woohoo type of a shout or whatever type of shout. It's to get that message out and to be heard type of a thing. And we're going to talk about it being loud a little bit this morning. That's kind of what it is. So quite literally, it means to raise a holy roar. The word is used sparsely in the Old Testament, a mere 11 times, but each time it is a powerful effect. Example of this type of holy roar, well, now let me take that back. The example of this kind of roar would be in those crowd settings, in a stadium setting. For me, a personal just experience of that was, I don't know, I was holding Jaden. So that tells you how long ago it was. He was about 2. And we were at Dodger Stadium, and they were playing the hated ones, the Giants. And if they won this game, they would clinch the playoff berth. And it had been the most boring baseball game I've ever been at in my life. There had been like no hitting, no scoring. It was 2-0. And then the Dodgers did something that I've never seen. They scored as many runs as you could in the bottom of the 9th inning possible. They scored 2 runs to tie it, then loaded the bases, and Steve Finley hit a grand slam. So all those runs count. And they scored 6 runs in this last inning to win 6-2 and clinch the playoffs. The stadium went nuts. It was a roar. It was loud when he hit that. And let me guarantee, there was about 58,000 people, whatever that stadium holds, lifting up hands. The batter lifted up his hands. I remember the bullpen, the pitchers come running out of the bullpen with their hands lifted up, jumping up and down, celebrate this roar of excitement because of this great thing that happened. Now let me tell you, for those of us who have learned about Jesus' death on the cross and his resurrection, that is much more of a thing to make a roar, a holy roar. That was just a roar. This is a holy roar. To celebrate what he did, to let people know, to shout it out, to lift up our hands, and to be loud about it is a holy roar. And so, every time we gather as God's people to praise him, and one voice unites with another, songs become anthems, anthems become declarations, declarations become a holy roar. And the holy roar of praise is not self-contained, not just for a particular people in a particular space. It's not praise for the purpose of pumping up the present crowd. It's for the purpose of passing on the faith from one generation to the next. So there's a side of this. When we come together to praise, now this is something we can do on our own as well. As I said in my motorcycle helmet, I'm belting sometimes. But when we come together here and we're praising, and we're being loud and we're setting an example for the younger generation. We are teaching them and showing them by how we sing, how we lift our hands, how we declare our love. We're passing it on to another generation. So that's part of the aspect of doing it here. And a lot of learning is done through observation. I learned about tithing through watching my mom and dad give. I don't remember anyone teaching. I know they did, but I don't really remember. But I remember My mom let me put the offering in the offering plate. Or for us, you could go and have them drop it in the back for you, or whatever, how we do it today. I remember having missionaries and my mom pulling out her checkbook to support missions. The other day, maybe they'll see you pull out your phone and give it online. But the idea is the observation and passing it out, and people hearing us shout and talk about it is something we should do. And so that's what we're going to do in a moment. But first, we have 4 more verses to read. And again, if this people would help us out, that's the one I did already. Psalms 71:23.
I will shout for joy and sing your praises, for you have ransomed me.
Where he has ransomed us. Isn't that something? God has saved us. God has rescued. Isn't that worth letting people know? Letting people know is a shout about. It's awesome. It's exciting. Psalm 66, verses 1 and 2.
Shout perfect praise to God, all the earth. Sing about the glory of his name, tell the world how glorious he is.
All right. Shout the praise to God and tell the world. Awesome. Thank you. Ezra 3:11. Thank you. And then Isaiah 12:6. All right. So we're going to practice. We're actually going to do, we got a couple things left to do. We're going to sing a song. We're going to take communion and then sing a song in our closing today. But all with the mentality of shout and declaring. The first song is a new song. We've never played it here. Most people probably haven't heard it unless you happen to own this album of David Crowder. But I want to read the lyrics because here I'm telling you, sing this song and shout a song, but you've never heard it before. That's kind of difficult to do. But do the best you can. To sing it loud is what I'm saying. Here's the lyrics. Take me to the shouting grounds. A prodigal lost was found. I should be dead right now, but I'm alive. So here you go. Here, I am going to that place to shout. I'm going to that place to share the story. I'm going to that place because why? I was a prodigal. The prodigal son was lost. He went away from his father, but he came back. We are away from God, but we've come back. We should be dead, but Christ died for us. That's worth shouting and declaring. The second verse, I just want to see your face. You're calling me from my grave. Take me to the shouting grounds. I'm going to get loud. Wait. You're calling me from the grave. Now, he's not talking about, I don't believe, the actual grave. He could be talking about future rapture stuff, but I don't think so. I think when he wrote the song, he's talking about, I was dead. When we are away from God, we are dead. When we are away from Him, we are dead. But God is calling. I want to see your face. You're calling me from my grave, this old life, into new life. And we're going to have a baptism class for those afterwards, anyone that wants to stay. But that's what we're talking about when the baptism class. Being dead to our old life and coming out of that and being risen with Christ. And I'm going to be loud about that. Can you imagine? I bet Lazarus was pretty loud. I mean, I just can't imagine he wasn't. And then the next lines, dead man come walking out when you hear the sound of mercy. Dead man come shouting out. Get out of the ground, you're breathing. All you who were once asleep are waking up to sing. So there's that idea again. God is calling us out of that, His mercy. We recognize His mercy. We're not getting the death we deserve. He took that upon the cross for us. We get to Him. And man, come out and be loud about it. Shout it out. Take me to the shouting grounds. Okay, he repeats that verse. And the rest of it is repeating. No grave going to hold me down. Can you hear the sound of saving? No grave going to hold me down. Can you feel the ground is shaking? All who were once asleep are waking up to sing. And then he goes into just some hey-ohs. You'll get it. I can't explain that. But anyways, so sing along, proclaim this, And then we're going to transition to communion. So